Poland Daily Business Edition. We should talk about Green Deal. That's a European initiative to curb CO2 emissions. Jakub Wiech of Energetyka24 is our guest tonight, sir. Welcome. And please outline for us the main points of this future legislation.
The main goal of the Green New Deal, European Green New Deal, is climate neutrality of European Union in the year 2050. Well, to achieve this, we actually need to close down the whole park of our coal power plants and gas power plants, actually, just to lower the emissions to the level that there will be compensated by the forests or any other technological source of capturing these CO2 emissions. And EU leaders who talked in Brussels during the last few days, and they pointed out that 27 out of 28 EU countries will be able to implement this goal into their policies. Poland said that it will need some more time to achieve the climate neutrality, and now we'll be watching very closely how the EU legislature will work on that issue, and what specific mechanisms of compensation, of financial compensation, will be presented in the European Union to make it possible in the financial terms for the EU member states to go with the path of climate neutrality.
Apart from the industry and energy generation, is also an agriculture taken into account?
Of course, it's a very important factor when it comes to emissions, and there will be some significant role of Polish EU commissioner who will deal with agriculture and who will be able to create some framework for the EU agriculture to achieve the climate neutrality, as well as the industry and energy.
Mm-hmm. And we should stress that the European Union is the only country or organization in the world that strives to achieve this 2050 climate.
That's correct. As Ursula von der Leyen said, Europe will be the first continent in the world that will achieve climate neutrality.
And obviously, the ideologists hope that other continents will follow, like Africa.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I don't agree with, because from the Polish history we know that when we try to make an example for others by heroism or other kind of sacrifice, it doesn't work in the way that we wanted it to work. So we may be disappointed while watching, for example, China building new coal power plants, or Japan going the same way. So I hope that EU leaders will, and in general global leaders, will create some strategy to force countries like China, like India, like the US, to also implement some specific climate rules to limit their emissions and go with Europe towards the climate neutrality.
Do you see the scientific base on this legislation? Like, is it caused by the real events and real thinking, real numbers, or is it because the media and some teenager from Sweden makes an emotional appeals to the world leaders?
Well, I see the scientific reasons for countering climate change. I see that during the last 100 years, average global temperature rise by 1 degree Celsius. I see that we have doubled almost the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in comparison to the levels from pre-industrial age. And we all see it. We all see it now in Poland that the last months have been extremely warm, and even now we are now in the middle of December, and there is no snow in Poland, and the temperatures are like 11 degrees.
But comparing to 1970s and 1980s, our CO2 emissions are like not even half, they are like 1/3 or maybe 1/5 of the amount we produced 20, 30 years ago.
That's correct.
So there's no correlation at all.
Polish emissions are lower than they were back in the 1970s. However, the global emissions are rising year by year. When you look at the graph showing the growth of emissions during the last 30 years, you will see that it's actually growing year by year, with one exception on the global economic crisis in 2009. So it is clearly visible that the problem with emissions lays in the structure of global economy. And to handle this, we'll need to change global economy in the way towards more climate neutrality and reducing the climate cost that we pay in general. But I'm not sure if European Union will be able to force other huge emittents like China or the US, just using itself as an example.
Right, we will see then. Thank you very much. Jakub Wiech, Energetyka24.pl, that's a portal when you write, when you are chief editor. And that was it for tonight's Poland Daily Business.